golf cart, or golf buggy, or ... So it's a way to kind of group things together so that when you come back and look at a query or you share it with somebody else, they can kind of see what you're doing. So brackets are quite useful, parentheses are quite useful for that. Then we start to get a bit more funky, and let's deal with our friend raw, which I mentioned this morning. That's where you want to match. So the best example I can give you is Sky Plus, which is a pay TV in the UK, and it's normally written like that, but of course the plus gets ignored unless you stick a raw operator, and also with raw it looks at the cases as well, so you want that potentially all raw Sky in small letters and so on and so forth. So, and herein lies the kind of rather annoying thing about writing queries, and this is a kind of, if you were to miss out the fact the kind of Sky with a big S and the small lowercase k and y, that might be 20% of the mentions of Sky Plus. If you forget to do that, you're potentially missing all those mentions. So it really is, it's partly technical, you need to know the operators, but it's more about kind of trial and error and kind of thinking about how things might be discussed online. Okay?
Is raw just your platform, or does everybody recognize that?
I don't know. You'd know that better than me.
No, I mean, I haven't seen it before in other places. That's why I'm wondering if that's something only you invented when you put together Brandwatch. Or
one morning I woke up and I thought, raw. No, I don't know much, to be honest. Okay. We had a client request for that kind of stuff, and so we had to have it.
Okay.
But I don't know if others have it.
Is there a reason why most people didn't do that? I mean, can you think of reasons why?
Okay, so I'm going to try and keep this reasonably high level. It depends what search engine they're using. They might be using one of several open source indexing and searching platforms. They might have bought one in. They might, if they're crazy, have built their own indexer. And some of these operators come with the search engine that you have embedded within your monitoring tool, and some are not available.
Okay.
The CH1 tag, or if a word shows up in a link within a page. These are kind of useful, but they don't get used very often.
You said in title will show up in an H1 tag, or will look up in an H1.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I think it must be title tag. I think it's in the title tag.
Well,
I'll check.
I mean, an argument. I mean, Google uses those. So I mean, if you're going to use Google, those would work, right?
Yeah, those work. I'll come on to Google in 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay. Near is an interesting one, and the syntax actually isn't near. The syntax is you have X number of words, and then what we call a slop factor, and then a number. So this could be Volkswagen, Golf, convertible within 5 words of each other or 10 words of each other. And the way that works it out is it finds the words, and then the system moves them around to up to this number of points in order to try and get them next to each other.
Sorry, what was the link again?
Link is where it's within the page, in a link within the page, whereas a URL is the URL of the page.
Of the page itself, got it.
Yeah. One that potentially could be coming at some point in the foreseeable future is author. So you could search for some topic or some list of things, any car brand, with an author tag, and the author, obviously, it would depend on how good you can join up the author stuff from Twitter to the stuff that Lloyd was talking about.
Those capabilities exist in Factiva and Cision because they author, reporter.
Oh, right, okay.
Right. I mean, in those systems, they actually do have the ability to find the author.
Okay.
because I
But
have the database.
it's finding the authors reasonably easy. If it's a news site, like those, in fact, even primarily news,
Yeah.
then the author is published at the top, and it's
Right.
usually given an author tag. It's pretty easy to pull out the author. We're talking about kind of author across
Social media, right? It's difficult.
tougher. I think that's it actually for those two. So you know that could be UK, US, blah blah blah, and site could be one or a number of sites. I think it's better to use these two as post-query filters rather than data setup filters. So there's an interesting one actually. Some of these things can be applied to the data set after it's been created. So location, you can set up location groups where you can in Brandwatch and apply it to a post-processor data. Same with site groups. But some people just want to look at one site, so you can stick it in the query. And then finally, you've got these two little friendly folk. These are wildcards. So this could be so there's a thing in search called stemming, where if you search for something like run, Google will and other public search engines will find all of the other words that have run as the stem. So it could be runner, running, run. I can't think of any others. But and it will search for those as well. It'll rank the results lower than the word that you've searched on, but it will nevertheless do that. Monitoring tools don't tend to do that because you end up potentially with a lot of junk data. But you can specify, kind of, if you put run like this, that would get you all of the things which start RUN. The question mark is just one character. So if I had run and then 3 question marks, it would get runner but not running, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So those kind of wildcards are quite useful, but they can be kind of dangerous in that you can potentially get a lot of junk in there. Yes.
So those last ones you went over, the URL and the inlink and everything, those are Brandwatch specific as well, or?
We've got all of these operators. Yeah.
Those previous ones, only Brandwatch?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I don't have access to other tools, so Marshall's your man on that.
Well, I mean, shouldn't you guys try to see what the other people are doing to, know what yours? I mean, wouldn't that be a good thing to do?
But it's kind of I'm the wrong guy to start that off, right? You will trail someone else and find the kinds of similar bands and find the kinds of people that are talking about them. Have a look at last FM top users, and if possible, I can't actually figure out how to do this, but I mean there's got to be a way. Exclude the stuff that you've seen before. So it would be great if you could just do a search and say exclude all of the things that I've kind of tagged. That's not very helpful because I haven't got a solution for you there. But the answer was define the topic by unusual brand names, and you'll find people that are talking about them, and then kind of use it as a discovery mechanism. And then do you want to come and talk about your one, which was what about finding a single metric for online brand strength or brand kind of activity, I guess.
Yeah, so basically the question came up in relation to offline they have brand trackers so everyone can find out what their brand is doing. Scale of 1 to 100, okay, last month I was a 72, hope I'm higher this month. So online, how do we, and particularly in social media, how do we do that same thing for them to tell them that as your agency, as your listening partner, we're doing a good job, you're doing better, or in the event that it goes down. So there's this one site, Social Mention, that has 4 metrics on there that are pretty good. Strength, passion, sentiment, and reach. And so strength is the presence of a mention within a day, and so the likelihood for that to show up. Passion is the likelihood of a fan kind of mentioning your brand more than once. Sentiment, obviously it's just a ratio of positive to negative. And reach being the unique authors versus the total mentions. And so if there's just obviously a single metric, a CMO would love that, and then